The track's up north, but for Kenny Schrader, it's no different than the rest. In fact, the 1991 Bud 500 champion is ready for Dover.
Ken Schrader wins the Budweiser 500.
I like the longer races better. I mean, it's not like we do anything any different for a race at Dover or a race at Wilkesboro, you know. We just take what we think's our best car and get ready to go up there and run the thing.
Dover Downs is a grueling 1-mile track. It has steep embankments that can really wear down a car and its driver.
You run it like a little Saturday night short track. You know, you dive down to the bottom turns, you know, and you get to turn and you drift right up against the wall and you dive back down there. And I like the 500 laps. I like the longer races.
And as for the Northeast locale in Delaware,
well, I think see the same kind of family pretty much any place we go. Up around Dover, you know, we get up around that area more than we do out on the West Coast, not as much as down here, but we got some real good fans up there.
Schrader's hoping his likeness for the track at Dover will help him improve on his 10th place in the Winston Cup point standings. Ken Slats reporting 15 Sports. Organizing baseball, teaching the basics, and sharing in the rewards are all necessary in our nation's favorite pastime.
We've got about 60 young people out here, and they seem to be thoroughly enjoying themselves. We're working all fundamentals of the game of baseball, hitting, throwing, base running.
Basically what Coach Griffin and us are trying to do is teach the kids in the PD area the fundamental of baseball. A lot of kids know how to play, but they don't know the fundamentals. And that's the most important thing about baseball.
About this time of the year, all kinds of camps are being held all across the nation, not just baseball, basketball, and football as well. But there's no doubt that the most precious and popular sport is the game of baseball.
It's so much like life that it's a different thing every day. Every time you wake up and you go back on the field, you know, you don't know what to expect, and it's the same way with life. Every day you wake up, you don't really know what to expect. Things happen, and you got to adapt and overcome.
I've matured and enjoy the kids more. I allow them to do more things than I used to when I was 30 or 35 years old. I just enjoy them, and we all have a good time.
In Florence, Ken Slats, 15 Sports. "160 kids ages 16 to 22 showed up at Cormel Field for a chance to showcase their talents.
Come on, push it now.
We're looking for guys that can help the Atlanta Braves win pennants. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for young guys or guys that can, that are high school sophomores and juniors that we can follow, or guys that are eligible to be signed right now.
We're looking for specific tools. Obviously, the position players, we're mainly interested in their running speed and their arm strength.
For most of these kids, it's kind of a far-fetched dream to make it on a professional baseball team, but for others, it can be a reality.
I just want to get my name out on the streets and get a few people to look at me and watch me and see what I got and give me a chance. That's really all I want. I figure that I can play baseball and I can play pro ball, and that's my long-term goal, is to play professional baseball.
Some are out here to have fun. For most, it's serious, and for those, the competition is tough.
Looks like we got some good-looking athletes. It might be the best camp we've ever had so far, it looks like, at Florence.
And in the next 2 weeks, the Royals and Reds will hold tryout camps at FMU. In Florence, Ken Slats, 15 Sports. It's not Winston Cup, but it is NASCAR, the grassroots end. Johnny Howell is one of many that is keeping race car driving going in the family.
My family's always had a race car, probably for the last 20 years, and used to run dirt all the time. And then about 5 years ago, one of my little brothers got killed at Drove, so we just recently started back last year racing, and we decided to try asphalt this time.
And Howell has adapted to the new surface. He's in the top 10 in points in the late model division at the I-95 Speedway.
The track is a nice track and needs a little asphalt on it, but we got a new track owner this year, and he seems to be trying to get things straightened out, and the competition's always, pretty strong.
Challenge of competing against other boys, we know that's what keeps us coming back each week. We just want to be as competitive as possible and try to outrun them.
No doubt the competitive edge brings a lot of these local drivers here out to I-95 Speedway, but there's that one little part that definitely has to bring them out, just the fun of it.
We do it just as a hobby. You know, if we want to come, we come, and if we can't afford it that week, we stay home.
In the pits, Ken Slats, 15 Sports. It was a star-studded afternoon for basketball campers at Coastal Carolina. Russ Bergman and his staff brought in former NC State star Charles Shackelford.
It was a very long road for me, so whenever I can come back and share some of the things that I went through with some of the kids, you know, it really makes me feel great.
They call him the Big Shack or Little Shack, I don't know, but you know, he's been great with the kids and played with them one-on-one, and we even had a surprise guest, Luther Wright, who played for Seton Hall, is probably going to be a top 8 pick in the NBA draft.
I think I could put some points on the board. You know, I was pretty strong inside. I played pretty good defense. You know, I changed a lot of shots, and I think I could help an NBA team with those things.
Also there, Coastal's own star Tony Duncan, and he had a message.
I've been trying to give the kids inspiration, and to let them know that anything that you think you can do, and let them know that all you got to do is try.
So basically, they just have to learn that the basketball comes from inside. You have to get educated. Without education, there's no basketball.
In Myrtle Beach, Ken Slats, 15 Sports. He sure is the man in black, all black, except for that silver belt buckle the size of, well, Georgia. And his heart is bigger than that.
We do a lot of charity work for children, and we had a chance here with the help of the people that live here to be with the Special Olympics kids. A young boy sitting next to me won a medal in downhill skiing up in North Carolina, and it's just fun to take a little time out and eat dinner with him and visit with him.
The visit was at Benjamin's Calabash. Glanville is in town for the Carolina Pride Budweiser 250 Saturday. That man in black loves his NASCAR.
I don't hunt, I don't fish, and I don't golf. I'd rather take a stick in the eye than those three things. So really to get your mind off of football every day, year-round, it's sort of, you got to have full concentration on what you're doing when you're driving the car.
And he started to drive the car about a year and a half ago. Glanville was approached by a couple of big NASCAR names.
It was Kyle Petty and Felix Sabato said, if we send you to driving school, will you drive Mellow Yellow? And I'd never been on an oval track, never made a left-hand turn. And next thing you know, I was out there driving Mellow Yellow, and then we went into the Busch Series and driving our own car now.
And just maybe in a few years, the NFL man in black might chase Winston Cupp's man in black for a title. In Myrtle Beach, Ken Slats, 15 Sports. The margin of victory, almost 5 seconds. The Mellow Yellow car dominated.
My car got tighter and tighter, and I could stretch it out 5 or 6 seconds. And then here comes Harry, wide open, coming. And we made one more adjustment. And when we made that adjustment, it turned that thing loose. And we went from 9 seconds to 15 or 16 seconds, so it was a good day.
Gant gave chase, but couldn't catch. The Skull Bandit finished third, his best of the year.
I hate to see that last caution come out if it was going to be 10. And we managed to get back to third. That's all we could do. It just wasn't much more left in it. It's pretty much going away.
Pole sitter Ken Schrader was the man 5 seconds behind Petty. He's finished strong the last month and a half. He's also moved up to 7th on the points list.
It takes like an average place finish or something like 6th, 7th, something 8th even to win the championship. So we can keep struggling top 5s together. That might make up for what we hurt ourselves early in the year.
And a continuing surprise, Jimmy Spencer, another great finish, 4th, despite some problems.
The Meineke car ran real well today. We had a bad pit stop. Jack broke and twisted the car all out of shape, and that cost us a lot of positions. But we didn't have nothing for Kyle today. You know, he was really going good. Congratulations to him, and you know, we'll try a little bit harder next week.
And he still got it, recording the victory celebration of his own in Victory Lane here today at Pocono. We'll be right back.
We used to race go-karts back when I was a child, and he kind of led up from there. And then I got maybe 18, 19 years old, went out and bought old jalopy and come down here and started running at the beach, you know, and that's where we got started.
And since his start, he has come a long way. Eddie Goodson knows how important it is to run well. He pays close attention to every aspect of the sport, knowing that in this area, racing is king.
People that live around Myrtle Beach and Darlington and Florence, and there's not a day go by somebody don't talk about racing, you know, and that's got a lot to do with it, I think.
What is it that you like about the sport? I mean, why racing?
Competition, you know. I think that's probably what every race driver likes, is competition, you know, and what you can accomplish in racing.
For most grassroots race car drivers, it kind of remains a hobby more than a sport. But for Eddie Goodson, he's taken it a step further. He's trying to make it as a regular on the Busch Grand National Tour.
We went to Richmond this year, and we run decent. I think we finished 21st or 22nd. And then we left there and went to Hickory and didn't get in the field. There was about 47 cars up there, and we didn't make it. We left there and went to Orange County, and we started 22nd and come up to 8th and then wrecked the car. So it's been up and down so far. We're just trying to get our feet wet.
The weekly tournaments are organized by Jem Mott. He's the assistant pro at Trace's Country Club, and he believes that this is just one way to get kids involved with golf.
We've scheduled up tournaments once a week. We've got different age groups from 8 to 9 to 10 to 12 to 13 to 14 and 15 to 17-year-olds. So it's different age groups play different holes, 9 holes up to 18 holes.
Today, the kids were at Darlington Country Club, one course throughout the Florence area that the mini tour stops, and it's just one more place to learn about the game.
Trying to make something fun for them, let them learn the game, the rules of the game, and the proper etiquette of the game.
There's no doubt a lot to be learned by these kids playing weekly in an event like this, but there's also a lot to be learned by someone who runs it.
I enjoy it a lot. You get to learn a lot of things from these kids. It's a lot different from running it from the older groups. They just come out flat and tell you, how it's going to be.
In Darlington, Ken Slats, 15 Sports.
He gets it away. It's good!
Getting a ticket to see the Charlotte Hornets this season was almost impossible. If the Carolinas get an NFL team, the same situation might occur. So now's the time to buy.
It all comes down to how successful our ticket campaign is this summer, and we start selling season tickets on July the 1st. The NFL will make their decision the last week of October, and we feel that if we have a successful campaign, that the NFL will award a franchise to the Carolinas.
The bottom line, the team will be in Charlotte, and the NBA team laid a lot of the groundwork.
I think we've been able to learn by the process the Hornets have gone through, and we've been able to learn from what the marketplace has done in receiving professional basketball. We think there's a tremendous pent-up demand here for professional sports, and the Charlotte Hornets have proven that.
The bid for an NFL franchise doesn't start and stop in the city of Charlotte. It's a Carolinas team, meaning South and North Carolina, and the look for season tickets starts and ends in the small towns.
We view this as a team for everybody in the Carolinas, whether they be in Charlotte or whether they be in Myrtle Beach, whether they live in North Carolina or South Carolina. We think it's a team that everybody can feel pride in and feel ownership for. That's why we're going to call the team a Carolinas team.
And that team has to have a name. So what is it?
We can't announce the nickname yet. The NFL Properties has asked us not to do that. But we're very excited about the colors and the logo that we have, and we think the people in the Carolinas will be excited also when they see it.
In Chirac, Ken Slats, 15 Sports. He spends his nights at the shop, his weekends at the track. It's a love for the sport, almost unmatched. How did you get involved in motorsports?
Well, probably my dad started drag racing when I was probably 6 years old and just kind of got in the neck of it. It's been ever since.
And ever since, he's built a mini empire. With Ronnie Howell Motorsports, he keeps busy.
We rebuild everything, wreck cars, motors, sell brand new parts, rebuilt parts, whatever, complete race car. Man, walk here, it's like a Walmart of racing right here. Just come here, we do it all.
On the race car is his best work. He doesn't drive, never has, Priorities are set for Ronnie Howell.
I got a family I got to support or whatever. I can't really take a chance getting a broke leg, broke arm, or something like that, and being out of work because it's, you know, got a kid and a wife.
Most of the time, the drivers are the ones in the spotlight, but when it comes race time, you need a good technical crew. That's where Ronnie Howell comes into play.
Well, you got to try to help the boys, you know, to help them out as much as you can because you need them. You can't just run one car because you got to have a lot of other people to keep everything going.
How much do you enjoy the sport? I mean, how big is this part of your life here?
Well, I enjoy it a lot. I just need a lot more sponsorship and stuff like that to go a little further. I'd like to move up to maybe Busch Grand National, maybe Winston Cup one day if you ever have the sponsorship and you know, good backing and go on up.
And with Ronnie Howell's work ethic, the dream is not too far-fetched. In the pits, Ken Slats, 15 Sports. Yes, another hot afternoon in Florence. A lot of water breaks at the camp, but also a lot to be learned.
One of the things I try to get across during the camps is I want the kids to understand that not many people make it in professional athletics. And you have to pursue athletics because you love it, and not because you want to be your profession.
Baseball camps like this one are always a plus for the kids, teach them the fundamentals and get them out to play the game of baseball. At USC, there's another purpose. The June Rains camp is get kids involved with the Gamecocks.
To let them know that the people at the University of South Carolina, you know, care about the kids around the state and want to be a part of them. We want them to come to South Carolina. If not to play baseball, you know, at least to be a student.
To me, it shows that they're interested in the kids, and I think that's a key. You know, a lot of times college coaches seem to forget that, you know, so much of a privilege to come there and play for them, and that's the way they look at it.
No matter whose privilege it is, baseball is important. Camps may not be actual recruiting, but it sure helps.
There was a study out that said 45% of the students who go to a camp at a university in their childhood normally end up at that school. So we feel we're doing sort of a pre-recruiting stage for also the admissions department, and people are glad to see us. It's amazing when we come to town how excited people are to see the garnet and black and to see the uniforms, and we feel that we're doing a benefit to everyone.
In Florence, Ken Slats, 15 Sports. Our first look at grassroots racing on dirt. Number 22, Johnny Pridgeon, is a late model driver at Lakeview Speedway, but whether on asphalt or dirt, the beginnings seem the same.
First of all, I got in racing by my father. He's been racing ever probably 30 years. I got started with this crew, Terry Bullock. My father used to drive for him several years back. I got involved with him, so that's pretty lucky there.
Well, it sure wasn't all luck. Hard work and early age success has played a major role. Johnny Pridgeon races in Lakeview every Friday night, Fayetteville every Saturday night. A busy weekend for a 26-year-old kid trying to make it in dirt track racing.
The adrenaline, I reckon. It's a lot of fun getting out there with other cars, 10 or 15 cars running against them, being competitive.
How long do you plan on racing for?
As long as I can.
And at his age now, Johnny Pridgeon will most likely be successful for years to come.